Guys, welcome back to Plutonium Trickshot Academy Class 2, whatever you want to call it. Today we're going to do equipment canceling and then which leads into the Instaswap. This is like a foundational trickshot, 2 foundational trickshot maneuvers, I guess. And we actually will learn our first combo that you can actually learn out of this without having to know literally anything else. Things you're gonna need to know at least are how to hold a controller, which is like your stretch or your claw. If you haven't yet, go watch episode 1 where I go into the detail with that. If you have and you're ready to learn, let's go. What does Instaswap look like first? I'll show you what that looks like. That's all it is. It's 3 buttons, and we'll go into all that. We're gonna do some things to build up to it, just to make it a tiny bit easier. So if you're struggling, yeah. I have my menu on just so I can do all this because it's easier. Alright. I have a class here with tomahawks and black hats. Specifically, why I choose tomahawks and black hats is because you don't need to actually cancel them or they cancel automatically. You can just throw these or you hit these and it just pulls it out. Right? And this is generally how these are used in trick shots. That's why I'd rather use these than something like a shock charge or a semtex. What I would suggest learning first and practicing is to be able to first jump off and then be able to actually spin into your trick shot kind of like this, or if you're using claw, like this, just so you can feel comfortable spinning while you're doing these, because I'm going to do this all kind of spinning with each other. So first I would say use the tomahawks and just jump off and then try to spin and throw the tomahawk. Don't worry about trying to cancel anything. It's just going to do it automatically. You just want to do something like that, right? Why did I say to do that? Well, because you'll see in a minute, but you can actually swap with these, and it's a tiny bit easier. But I say specifically with the tomahawk first, just because it's on the right side. It's a bit easier to grab, depending on whether you're playing stretch or claw. If you're playing stretch, this will be easier to do than this, probably. If you're playing claw, it might be easier to do this than the tomahawk one, right? Depends on how you play. So, just practice actually with both of them separately or together if you really want. Spinning and then throwing the tomahawk or pulling out the black hat or whatever you want to use. If you can do that, which like for stretch, this might be hard because you got to use the same thing. You got to stretch over. Feels weird, but you'll get used to it. Don't worry. That's basically all you really need to learn or understand for this next part. And it's not too hard to do. There's really nothing to it. The other advice would just be try to time your trick shots. Or try to time the spins, so just find a spot to aim for and see if you can spin and do it. Right? Okay, so once we get done with that, we now have your shot cards and semtexes and various other things that cannot be canceled, right? Or can be canceled, I should say, but look better canceling them. These are probably the 2 most used equipments in trick shots in general, next to the tomahawk. What you want to do now is be able to, if you can throw the thing, right, you want to be able to cancel it. So how do you do that? Well, you hit triangle. There's nothing else to it, really. But again, you want to be able to do it, because this is 2/3 of the entire Instaswap that you're going to have to learn in about a minute or 2. So if you can jump off, pull out a semtex and cancel it, and then also shoot without touching the ground, and you can time it, you know, not abnormally, but normally well, you know, you're off to the races. And then you want to be able to do the same thing with shock charge or your tactical button in general, right? Again, if you're playing stretch, you might find this more difficult than this. If you're playing claw, it might be the other way around. I am a stretch man myself. I like stretch more than claw. But, you know, they have their upsides. They both have their downsides. Well, stretch has a lot more downsides, but that's the basic thing, right? So that's what that is looking like. Very, very simple. Very, very, you know, there's not much I can really go into it. There's not much more I can say. Okay. Once you can do that, I'm going to go back to this class, and we're going to learn the actual Instaswap. This is not going to be the tried and true form, but it's still Instaswap nonetheless. So what does an Instaswap look like? Well, with a tomahawk or a black hat, it looks something like this. I pull out my equipment, and I end up having the other weapon in my arsenal. or my class, right? So you're doing a swap with a black cat for every reason why you ever would, but it looks something like that, right? With black hats and tomahawks, anything that you're not canceling, so you need to know 2 buttons. And this is really why I think you should actually practice these before the other ones, because all you need to do is know the timing between the first 2 buttons, which is your triangle and your LB, right? So if you look at my controller overlays, you can see how I'm like almost not overly precise. You have some decent amount of leeway, but the main thing is you're hitting triangle before you hit the LB, but quick enough that it switches the weapon, but you still are able to pull out the equipment before it actually switches, right? And then the game really has a DSR out, right? You do the same thing backwards, right? That's it, basically it. Once you can do these, you can do the main Instaswap, which is the ones that you most likely have seen or will see for other trick shots, which looks like this. Now, what is the difference between these? Well, you do the same thing where you are, if I can do it, hitting triangle or Y just barely before you pull out your tactical, but you're also canceling it because you don't want to throw these ones, right? These ones look better like this. Right. So, best way to practice this is just, it's going to come with time more or less to understand the timing, but I would say do those black hats and tomahawk ones, or if you're even doing them with the shock charge or Semtex, if you understand the timing between the first 2 buttons, which is, it's, again, you know, relatively lenient. I would say it's a bit less lenient with the shock charges and the Semtex just because of their animations, but you'll understand it. The best thing I can do is show you what it looks like with stretch and claw, just because, again, you're using your thumbs here, right? For the buttons if you're using stretch. So you're jumping off and you're just trying to do it. See how many you can do. If you can do multiple Instaswaps in a jump, you're in a... Yeah, in a jump. I would say, yeah, in a jump. You can do it in a multiple jump. You're doing pretty good. There's really just not much to it. It's this move has like been around forever, and it's the foundation of most BO2 trick shots, if not all. Like 90% of the trick shots are going to have some sort of equipment cancel or Instaswap in it. Obviously, some can go without it, and we will get into how to do trick shots without equipment if you really want to, because it is doable. It's very easy, actually. But obviously, those that require other tricks and other things that you want to know. So, if you gotten to this point and you are confident in your skills to be able to jump off, time your spins, and do Instaswaps and all that, I can show you one really simple combo, and that is just going to be an equipment cancel to an Instaswap to an equipment cancel, and that just looks like this. And, you know, that's all it is. In this case, I pulled the equipment out before I jump, but you can obviously just do both. And then, obviously, if you learn speed, you can get some pretty, you can get a lot of them in there, right? You know, and it's obviously going to come with time. But trust me, don't be scared. Yeah, it's very, very easy. Other than that, that's really it. I guess the only thing I can say is you can also do something called a knife pistol swap in this game, which some games have, sometimes don't. That ones that do Instaswaps, where all you do is knife, right? And it's a bit more complex, but it serves the same purpose, right? That's really it. I really like. It's a very simple, like. I don't know why I did that, but simple thing, very simple thing you can do that really just elevates what you're doing, right? I think next episode I might get into NSL, which is a thing that is mainly done on claw, but you can do on stretch. But it's how trick shotters do kind of stuff like this, where they're like on the ground and they, you know, they do a bunch of that stuff. Really clean NSL is more like spinning and jumping off and having it not stop at all. Other than that, I mean, my tutorial's really done. There's nothing else I can really say or provide. Obviously the Discord is in the description, and comments are always open. I'm available to answer any questions if you have any. But I don't think people are gonna struggle this hard. If you really are new, the only thing you're gonna struggle with is just the timing, which I absolutely cannot help you with. It's just gonna come with practice of understanding it, but eventually it's gonna become, you know, second nature to be able to do these, and you'll find them really easy. Other than that, that's it. Subscribe for more episodes. Hopefully I'll have a better upload schedule, but college has been horrendous lately. But 2 or 3 more weeks and I'm done for the year. So subscribe.